Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes podcast, your weekly dive into funding, market, and investor news in architecture, engineering, construction, and supply chain. Before we get started, a quick announcement. If you're a founder, construction tech enthusiast, or responsible for innovation in your company looking for exclusive insights and content not found anywhere else, you won't want to miss our newsletter. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get cutting-edge material delivered straight to your inbox. Last week, we questioned whether the era of point solutions in construction tech is coming to an end. We dived into the emerging trend of consolidated platforms and explore how this shift is reshaping the landscape for both construction firms and tech startups alike. This week's episode of Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes is slightly different. We're joined by Mo Akbari Hochberg, founder of HoloBuilder, one of the pioneers of reality capture in construction. We'll explore the fascinating journey of HoloBuilder from its origins to acquisition, get Mo's insider perspective on the current state of reality capture tech, and of course, we'll provide some controversial and eye-opening truths about startup funding and valuations in today's market. And now for the episode. Okay, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes. So today we have a very special and a slight twist on the usual format. We're joined by Mo, who is the ex-founder of HoloBuilder. So hey, Mo.
Hey, everybody. Great being here. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you for bringing up my name, Patrick. Really looking forward, to discussing different topics today. That will be, a great one.
Excited to have you. And then we're gonna really touch upon the world of reality capture as we have you here. So we're gonna pick apart what's going on inside of that world. And then from the market perspective, we're gonna look at fundamental. Patrick, I believe this week you released your state of AECS tech at the end of Q2 2024.
Yep.
And then we have a juicy investors take to get to. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, as we have Mo, HoloBuilder, founded in 2019.
No.
Before that, no?
Founder? No, it was. That was a nice try. No, we were founded in 2016 in the US, but we had already a company before that, which was not in construction tech, but it was founded in Germany with a lot of technology, mostly around augmented reality, machine vision, and then we took that technology and brought it into construction in 2015-16 here in the US.
Right. So Mo, maybe just tell us a little bit about your background and how did you come up with HoloBuilder? Tell us about it.
Yes, sure. So my original background is in computer science, studying computer science in Germany. Besides that, what I did, I was also a basketball coach. Maybe you see someone that have some basketball shoes behind me.
Now it makes sense.
I love for that. I was a competitive basketball coach before. And then one day I said, okay, I have this big passion for computer science, for sports, and I see everything going on in Silicon Valley, being in Europe. And okay, why cannot combine this, take some computer scientists, create a team, and bring them to first league, which is Silicon Valley. And that's what I did. So I started to pick up my students, which were the best computer scientists, and we worked on some topics with different takes, created technology. We had no clue about business, so zero business clue at the beginning. I came to Silicon Valley in 2015 because we were first in augmented reality, virtual reality, and that was like the hot place was here, and all our partners were here. But one thing we did at that time was I had bought a 360 camera, and we had used 360 images as a background thing actually for virtual reality and augmented reality, mostly used in manufacturing. There are different use cases there, but that was not called yet to fully reality capture. And we found out we put a platform for free, we grow crazy, that everybody was using one feature and was 360 images on our platform. And there was no other platform in 2015 between China and Silicon Valley who would have an easy drag and drop platform for creating 360 content. Yeah, that was no there. And there was this Ricoh cameras came out. We won a Ricoh Innovation Prize in Japan. At the same time, we launched with them and Google Street View, which came later, the new cameras. So we got into that 360 image capturing. And there were different use cases how to use it. One of them was construction and real estate. We run both at the same time, tested it, and then decided, okay, we go with just construction. And most people who were using it were already here in the Bay Area. I think the first person, who came up with testing 360 images in construction was Curtis from Brick and Mortar Ventures. Back then, he was at McCarthy working in the innovation department. And then, we tested it here. So, okay, there's a big opportunity. Everybody wanted to pay for a free solution. And then we said, okay, that's a great market. Let's focus on it.
So initially, you were not focused on construction, right?
Initially, we were not focused on construction with our product. And then we pivoted from manufacturing into construction. Let go around 90% of the tech we had, because at the moment, augmented reality still is not a big thing. And focus just on the needs of the construction industry and how we could help them with reality capture.
How was learning about construction at the time when you were outsider and you were trying to innovate within the industry? What was it like then?
Good. I mean, okay, let's say I'm maybe not that crazy as an outsider, because really everybody else in my family is in construction. So my mom and aunt were architects. My cousin studied civil engineering and so on. So everybody had a somehow background in it, and maybe they moved a bit later in something else. But a lot of people are in construction. So I had seen a lot of the problems, and they were very easy for me to understand, because I know how often my mom had to go to a job site, come back, and do inspections and so on. So that was a familiar problem. To me, I could also quickly bounce ideas with them to see, okay, would they use it? Would they not use it? Is it helpful for them or not? So that was helpful.
I'm interested, Mo, the point at which you saw that construction was the opportunity to go for. And why was it a space that you were willing to dedicate such a long portion of your career and have what turned out to be a huge success?
Again, the market demand was big. So we did a demo with a product which was not yet fully fledged for construction. And everybody said, oh yeah, I can see it. Let me introduce you to 5 other people who could use it. Or you would maybe demo it to somebody and somebody would say, oh, it's not interesting today. And call you 2 weeks later and said, oh yeah, I was totally wrong. On my meeting today, I went in, I had this big discussion with these guys again. If I could just put up the data to show them, we didn't have this, 20-minute argument, this sidewalk, coming back, that would save me so much time. Can you come back, and I would love to pilot it. So the feedback was really good. Yeah, so the need was clearly there. So everybody was really pushing for it. And at the beginning was, people just wanted to have a 360 camera and just drag and drop like they did with pictures. So then I said, okay, maybe that's not a great idea. Maybe we need an app or something where you can do the capturing. So connecting always a camera to a laptop and dragging is maybe not the best solution. They said, oh yeah, we're doing it forever. So we came up with creating the job walk app, which would just connect to the camera, floor plan, and create a workflow out of it. Which was clearly something the market didn't want or didn't ask, where you could not come up with it.
And I just want to make sure we're all getting the context right. Mo, we're talking here 8 years ago, right? So 2015, maybe 16. This were the pioneering days of reality capture in construction, weren't it?
Yes. I mean, there was nobody else out there. No? I mean, we can go one by one how it came up together. Yeah. So there was nothing else, and we just started building it and shipping it, and everybody really. And we were surprised how many people were using it. No. Todd, you had also on your podcast, was also one of the early users. I saw him using it. We even didn't know because he was giving a talk at a conference, and I watched that talk, and he had a segment, a third of his 30-minute talk was just about HoloBuilder and how they are leveraging reality capture technology like HoloBuilder or just HoloBuilder out of it. That's okay. That seems to be, and that was our very initial marketing. We had not much cash, but the people would talk. So we had a huge word to mouth growth in the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
But
say.
really,
Maybe
people would talk about it, push it, and share what we're doing.
I think you touched on it earlier, and then you just added some spice to it. It was about the go-to-market, because I mean we discussed it earlier, and I know it's a passionate topic of yours at the minute. Like, what was the strategy there in the early days?
At the early days, really early, I think it was a great strategy. We had an online. People could check out online and buy it itself. No? So we had like 3 plans people could buy online and go for it. And that had a really good growth going for it at the beginning. Then I think now looking retro perspective back was a mistake to switch to inside sales at that moment, very early on, to try to get to enterprise deals and so on, which came a little bit from one of our VCs who we had in. The idea, it sounded really good, and he said, no, these are the metrics. I had not full clue about some stuff about the business side. I said, okay, that sounds good, or other people are trying or doing it the same way, but we should kept going just for growth and market share win at that point, instead of trying to sell, which then slowed down our growth or sales as we try to sell it differently or more expensive, instead of just going for growth, which I would never do again, or advise people just to go for larger deal sizes instead. If you can sell and people are just buying, just let people buy.
Okay. I was gonna sort of bring Patrick into the mix here. So at some point on the journey, you had investors that got involved. Fundamental being one of them. Yeah. At what point did you raise, I suppose, is the question. Did you had some traction and I assume product market fit, and yeah, maybe just speak to that.
We were really we raised early, and then we raised, a little bit later. That was around where then Fundamental and some others came in. Was, let's say, our second round we raised at that point. So then at the beginning, then it's Brick and Water had invested, some angel investors had invested in us, and then we did the next round where then also Fundamental was part of it. Yeah, that's a total raise, what we raised in total.
Yeah, across
was
the 2
around
rounds.
8, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then came the exit.
Yeah.
So when did the exit come? And just wanted to ask, what was your thinking when you were starting the company, and towards the exit, were you thinking that the business cannot be scaled more, or you were happy with the exit? What was founder thinking at that time?
As we got to the exit, so we had a term sheet for next for next funding round already. So we had that in hand, the term sheet. So that was our actual plan, was to raise more money and keep going. But then Faro came in with the idea of an acquisition. So they said, okay, we take the total round, and buy the whole company. And that happened because on the same time, we had some larger customers like Frankfurt Airport at the time, who we pitched, and they wanted to use HoloBuilder. I think also Siemens was building a new campus in Germany, and they also were Faro customers. And 2 or 3 went in the same week to Faro and said, hey, it's nice what you have, but actually we want this HoloBuilder thing. Are you coming up with something? Do you have something or not in that thing? No, so that's like the real deal for us is what these guys are offering. I mean, we have been here customers with Faro. So what is going on there? No, any innovation on your end? And that created a few chains. Different things happened at Faro very quickly, where they said, okay, let's do that. So they went to the customer and said, oh yeah, we're working on something. We will launch it in 3 months. So, and they started that process. And then they came, did the offer. At that time, my wife was pregnant. So I know, okay. And then we calculated, okay, how much are the opportunity costs, how much we have to spend to go forward. How happy would the investors be at that time if we move out? And then we came to the conclusion, okay,
let's do it.
It's a good timing for everybody to move out at that point. So that was a good exit for everybody.
I
thought it was a good outcome.
Yeah, I was going to tease Patrick a bit and ask how much was it down to investor pressure?
Because I think investors do not pressure startups to sell to other, right? Or
what are you guys? Didn't want it. So I mean,
are you guys after IPOs or what? Really?
Look, you have to take it as they come also, right? I mean, obviously, the intent with investing is always to make it, to back companies that have the aspiration to become category leaders in their own right. And you need to be investing in companies that can return you liquid cash back, right? And obviously, the IPO is the dream scenario, but it's not always the thesis with which you go in. So in HoloBuilder's case, for example, I can only speak for us, but Mo, don't take this the wrong way, but I think the exit path was always a strategic sale that would be much more likely than an IPO, just because an IPO story is oftentimes more easily told on something that is a brand play, that is a consumer play, etc. When it comes to the pressure, so I can say from our side, there was absolutely zero pressure, and also we weren't the largest partner to Mo. There was Brick and Mortar, which was a much larger partner for us, and I think that was way more important to also understand their perspective in this. I'll let Mo speak to this, but in general, aside from HoloBuilder, aside from reality capture, founders find all colors and all flavors of investors. You know, hopefully you more often than not find the investors that really want to be your partners, but you know, there can also be every now and then someone that is treating it a bit more transactionally and increasing the pressure. I like to think that was not the case in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if most of the businesses in construction are not business to consumer really, then would you guys say that most exits will be by acquisition rather than IPOs?
I think you have more qualified idea, but I think just from my perspective, you can build things, but you need to create a fully new category. I mean, I think HoloBuilder could have gone it differently, but we were the setup of the company and how we got the funding and so on. Some basics were wrong at that time. You can build new things, especially I think with the age of AI now, where some companies can go public. And then But if Autodesk, depends how hungry Autodesk is. If they pay so much cash for something, it depends on the founders if they want to go out or not. I think for the first-time founders, it's easier to say, okay, I now will save a little bit for my family and do a first quick exit. And if you go the second time and you create a new category, it's much easier to go for the IPO route.
Yeah, I would agree, and we shouldn't forget that there was actually an adjacent IPO in the reality capture space within PropTech named Matterport, and so Matterport could have given potentially also the necessary tailwinds for Mo and HoloBuilder and other folks in the space to IPO. But I would still be cautious about that, because with Matterport, you're still closer to consumer, even though you're not direct to consumer, because you're actually going into homes, and selling the narrative of homes is still an emotional narrative that an investment banker will be finding easier to sell into an IPO. And B, you were going after almost independent professionals or small professional groups, namely the brokers.
Yes.
Again, that is something that as an IPO narrative, most bankers will find a little bit more appealing to tell than the more back-end industrial type reality capture. But over time, sometimes also when you go into a company like HoloBuilder, if you're truly category creating, you're adding ingredients to your meal as you go. What you start out with is not necessarily what you end up with, right? It can still be the core of your business, but you're adding more and more to it. That is the case with some marketplaces, for example. They are very single category initially in B2B, but then they become one-stop shops because customers keep going back. And so when you keep doing that, you can also open up an IPO path within reality capture potentially.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. I have just one last one on that point, and then we'll go into a bit more. Just another question to answer. But apart from Air Force, Mo, what else did you spend the exit money on? And for our people that are listening only, Mo's backdrop is a wonderful sight of lots of different pairs of Air Max, like Air Max.
Air Max, Jordans, Dunks, you name it all. So I spend it just on family for now, and then I also did some investments. I think I have like 5 construction tech investments and 1 VC tech investment at the moment. So that's like my what I did. Like I stayed 18 months at Faro. After 18 months, then I spent now 18 months looking and investing, and then also start now thinking about what to build next.
Very good.
I think the guys wanted to hear more Bitcoin.
Oh no! Come on.
Specifically,
I mean, I bought a Bitcoin for my newborn son, which he gets maybe when he gets 18. Wow. So let's see.
You'll be a millionaire. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's what I hope for him. So he doesn't need to work when he gets 18.
Yeah. Can we just touch on the current state of reality capture? So Faro is still developing HoloBuilder.
Yes.
Yes. So there are obviously not obviously, but there are other participants also. And so how are they different? Who is the best? Who is right now at the edge of, I don't know, innovation or providing the best service?
Okay. Let's break down one thing about reality capture. It has 3 components. And that was something which we came up. Now, one is capture technology, which is like reality capture, where you see 360 cameras or laser scanners. Then you have reality capture data management, which is like mostly the viewer, how you can interact with different types of content. And then you have like the analytics of the data AI part. The first 2 are out in there. No, I think let's stay with the reality capture data solution. I think Faro, which combined their platform, which had 4 laser scanners already, with HoloBuilder, and so the HoloBuilder team created now a new thing, which is called Spheres. Faro Sphere X something, which is like taking HoloBuilder technology, what they had as an IP, combining it, and I think that's like the best platform where you can have like point clouds, 360 images, and you can bring all different types of data together, even from drones or whatever you have in one platform. And accessing, managing that data with privacy, sharing it during your company. So this it's like a CRM partner just for reality capture data management. That's its own, let's say, category, which is like always in this whole space. And then you have, let's say, the hardware plus capturing technologies, which is like 360 cameras, or then 360 camera on a helmet with video, which you can use then to create something out of it. Even like the iPhones with LiDAR, where you can create, like, say, smaller scans with an iPhone. That goes all together into reality capture. And then you have, like, on the end, the AI part maybe to analyze it. I think we invented all three categories. So I'm still very proud on that. And that in the past 3 years, I have not seen from the ideas of what we had created as prototype I put out there, no new innovation happening. I think you had recently Build Dots on a show, and I think what they do is, as an idea, was not out there already, and they say, oh yeah, we tried. And they're 6 years in it, but still there's no really AI happening. No? Otherwise, if you go in LinkedIn, look at half of the company are like architects and BIM managers looking at the data, analyzing. I mean, it's great. No, I believe in companies who can sell a service. No, I think that's a very valid thing to sell. No, I think they would be better off saying, hey, we come in, therefore they can do the ROI calculations. Very good. They go in and say, okay, this is your project. You maybe have 4 people doing progress tracking and analyzing. No, that costs you, if you hire them, so much, and we do that work for you for this amount of work. No, it's a legit business to do. No, but I think for case of starting us and saying, oh, we do it with AI, and saying, oh, it's not possible really, how to do it, getting into it. You can have a service company. I think a lot of it's service today, and that's like with most companies out there. I think the only company who really tries to do it in that space is Contilio, where they say, okay, we have laser scans and we try to work on point clouds to get some analysis out there. I've not tested it myself, but they're really trying to not have the human in the loop. Yeah, and that's...
You remember, right? So the one of the other early pioneers, way earlier than OpenSpace Builders, was Disperse out of UK. On the data processing side, I had heard recently, we're not investors, I had heard recently actually that they are hiring a huge amount of architects now, and basically move away from even trying the whole data processing through AI and becoming entirely a scan-to-BIM services kind of company, to your point.
Yeah.
So that means that it's impossible at this stage of technology?
Now the technology works better. You can do it, but the pipeline was not working. Data quality was not good enough. How you would capture it and so on. There's so many issues you can run into if you have no clue what you're doing. And most were a little bit naive what you can do and how they attacked it, the problem. We had also our AI. We were the first one coming out, but then Faro didn't push it so much anymore before launch. But you had to have a different idea how you create image recognition, how you recognize spaces, and how you create intelligence of spaces. I think most didn't go that path down. But it's still a good fundraising story. I think Build Dots was pre-revenue, and if they're still pre-revenue, but there was no big significant revenue there, not till today. That's the truth. There was, I know it because we had also, I know some people who was very close to it, how to raise the rounds and how much money was there. No, but now you can go and offer services. That's really good. No, I mean I love that. No? I'm invested in IPX, which does no reality capture, and they have a service model. No? So that business model I love. No, for capturing and creating models on it, having humans in it, and streamlining the process. So it's very legit, but has nothing to do with AI.
Yeah. To your point, Mo, and one thing we'll get on to discussing today is Buildouts have raised over
99. Oh no, sorry.
121 million as of now, as of latest figures.
Open space 199, I can see.
Yeah, open space 200-ish. Yes, like contrasting and comparing that to you said 7 to 8 million for HoloBuilder. That's like
different
worlds apart. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the thing was we were very capital efficient and we had very good people in creating product. Now, again, as we were doing, there was nothing, no feature out there which then people would not copy. So we would invent it, go there, and people would just try to copy that feature or do the research. And therefore, after we stopped, really nothing really big came out of it. I think Cupix is doing a great, let's say with those ones. You can sell a dream, that helps always. I think OpenSpace did a very good job. I mean, Javed is a very experienced fundraiser. That brings us to the go-to-market. With their solution, they had a very good growth at the beginning. Their growth rate was better than ours. Even the revenue was sometimes not better as they were raising. But we had ARR over a few years because we tested to got there and they came in, got quick grow. And they just focused on, let's say, simple projects. No, I mean, we had the same, and we tested the capturing with a 360 camera and video first. So we did it, and our customers rejected it because the quality was not good enough. Now, so our feedback from our customers was there, and so we were very much in airports, let's say SeaWorld in Abu Dhabi. So everything huge was using HoloBuilder. And for them, quality, data management, privacy, and so on was very important. And that was our focus. And they went, let's say,
for example, just for everyone. For example, I remember HoloBuilder was being used on the new terminal for San Francisco airport.
Yes. Yeah. Terminal 1, which they teared down, rebuilt it, hospital projects. So, and those users wanted stability, good products, people know where they go to capture data. And the video was at the beginning not good enough for their data quality. But nobody would care so much if you talk to somebody on the field who was doing a school building. So that was where they went. They said, okay, there are people who really didn't care. They want to run around. They didn't care about safety. So it was a big issue at the beginning. Having a 360 camera on a helmet, that's against any OSHA. So people at some job sites don't care. Some job sites very care. So we had different feedbacks on it. So our customers mostly cared about that. Carrying it on a helmet at the beginning. Yeah. Others didn't. So that was good. So they went for that market, focused on, let's say...
Hey listeners, I want to take a quick break to remind you about the Bricks and Bytes newsletter. If you're interested in learning about the technology shaping the future of construction, you won't want to miss the valuable insights we share each week. To get this exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today. Link is in the show notes. Back to the show.
Cheap office buildings, schools, malls, and grew very well in that market. And I really have to say that was a very good decision to focus much more. We struggled with that at HoloBuilder to say, okay, we let that market go and we just focus on the high-end customers who build nuclear plants. Yeah. So on those where we were really good at. So we delivered to both. So we had let's say, if you have a customer like Hansel Phelps, we had told them, okay, we do all the big projects with you, but we really don't care about your small projects. Instead, trying to go for both markets and supporting them. And that was one thing we did in our go-to-market or later go-to-market at stages. not right segmenting. And that's something I would say everybody should really learn from what OpenSpace did with this. Very highly focused, one solution, one benefit for one type of a group with easy messaging. That was really well done. But then one day you struggle still. I mean, you can have a very good growth, but then you need to add up everything else to catch up. But then I don't know, again, 60 million to try to build the middle part, which I mentioned, the reality capture data management platform, where people can access, have some AI to recognize people, to blur them out, being data privacy and so on, which they had to catch up as they wanted maybe to move to Europe.
I got more. One topic in hindsight that I find interesting and fascinating, thinking about how reality capture as a space developed within construction tech. And I'd love to hear your take on that. So at Fundamental, one of the spaces that we have, or one of the frameworks that we use to determine whether we fall in love with a space or not, we learned this framework over time, is we call it hidden in spite of obvious, meaning you can have generic people and then you have experts on the other axis, experts being industry insiders, founders that have spent a lot of time in this sector. And on both axes, you ask yourself, hey, is it hidden or obvious to that group of people? And so reality capture in construction tech, intuitively, you would have thought, hey, this is actually a hidden in spite of obvious problem. It's hidden to the generic people because it requires a lot of insight actually to even see it and then to build it, etc. But it's super obvious to the experts. But it actually didn't turn out to be that way because there was so much competition then emerging. And then there was Versatile, which raised a lot of money with their crane-mounted camera solution. We had Indus around, which was using off-the-shelf security cameras to do something similar, slightly. So actually the competition, I mean, it became fiercer and fiercer, and then the fundraisings that Martin and on. So my question is, why were we wrong thinking that it was hidden in spite of obvious, but it was actually obvious even to the generic people?
Because we did great marketing and people learned about it. I mean that's the truth. I mean, one thing was a lot of people came in and said, okay, we can beat them. No, I mean, a lot of it is, again, for a lot of people, it seemed to be easy and they failed. Or, let's say, dox it. No, I don't know, because it's not coming up again. They're still alive. No. And I really remember the early days. We were applying for StartX, the Stanford accelerator, and I met the founders in the hallway. We were talking, "What do you do?" And they said, "Hey, we're doing this cool thing. We want to fly a drone in construction sites to do capturing of job sites." I said, "Oh yeah, that's great. We're doing something similar." I mean, we were not very focused on construction. We said, "Okay," but I said, "Hey, the drone thing will not work in the next 10 years. No, the SLAM algorithms are not there, the battery life, that thing will not work." I mean, that's like, no, if you have a little bit understanding how things go, you can be genius as you want, but this is not going to work. And they went in, they pitched, they got much more money than we got from the same VCs we pitched. And that's where I learned, okay, having less knowledge about the tech helps. No, then you're not that realistic. Yeah. So they really went, and there's nobody said, okay, we gave them the money because we pitched at the same time at the same. No? Oh yeah, do that. No? And then what happened? 10 years later, and I don't know, 60 million raised, they switched to 360 cameras. Yeah? They now have 360 cameras, have a video where people go around job sites with 360 cameras.
Oh, you were already doing that, yeah?
Yeah. So, and that's like 10 years later. No? So they start to say, okay, we do a drone that flies autonomous. We do that great thing, autonomous capturing of construction site. Great. And that's also with build-outs. So say, oh, we do this AI thing with having no data, no understanding how the algorithm works, how complex the job site is, how it often changes, how similar can a white room be to the next one. How you make that decision, which room you're in. So there's a lot of complexity in it. But also on the other side, we see do sometimes indexing or saying, oh yeah, if that becomes a thing, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And in our end, we were a bit naive, just going with realistic solutions which delivered outcomes. But yeah.
So it was actually in Doxel's case, it was not drawn to 360. It was drawn to a ground rover on which a camera was mounted, to then something else, and then 360, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I mean, that was like, no, it's like also one pre-seed or pre-revenue company for a long time. And again, there are companies I never run into as a competition. So that's something where we know, okay, there's not often revenue. They cannot have so much revenue if we didn't run at HoloBuilder into them when we were selling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just want to ask all of so who is the market leader right now within the reality capture?
I would bet most of my money on Cupix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And is this a profitable business, or is it still kind of?
I think they're a startup, and no, I think, but they are very capital efficient, and they're really pushing innovation themselves and trying to build new things and go and build a solid platform, going not that aggressively forward, but I think the chances for the others to die is high. And I mean, let's say Bytes raised 15 million. I mean, you just brought it up, no? That they just did the next round. But why would you raise 15 million if you have raised, I don't know, so much money before? What is the evaluation? What is Entel getting out of it? 2%? I don't think they just invest for 2% of a company if they had raised 106 million before. Yeah, so that means that evaluation has dropped probably, and they need 50 million to move forward. Mm-hmm. Same thing with OpenSpace. I mean, if you just looked at OpenSpace, I mean, they had to let go 50% of the company or around something like that to cut costs because it would be already dead if they didn't. No, so there was no cash anymore because they have such a huge burn. And if you take that, they raised I don't know, they had this 9 million round before, and then I hear maybe they raised some OpenSpace some more money, which they didn't announce. So also probably not the same evaluation as before. And no, you need that cash to keep going to maybe hit one day again your targets. To get to do evaluations, which these guys got before. Now, I mean, they raised at 40, 50x revenue. And I think Bytes raised at, I don't know, maybe 80x revenue or something evaluation. So that's like nuts numbers. And now to catching up with revenue to that is really hard reality. And you can just find more not sophisticated investors who throw money at you. Say, okay, oh yeah, maybe that's interesting. Or they're building some factories and it's part of the deal. No, you get it cheaper, we invest, take some part of the company, and move forward. So I think that's like to the burn they have versus what to raise and changing company culture is hard. That you don't have that marketing, create a hustle culture also in sales and so on. It's not easy to turn. I think Cupix has it. So that's why I think they are really an interesting company at the moment to look at. And I think that Doxel, I never know when, what they will come up with one day.
Personally,
Go on, sorry, Patrick.
I also think another way to look at it potentially is that the actual capture of reality capture might already be commoditized. And if that is the case, it might actually be that the eventual category winners in this commoditized part of the capture workflow, meaning the capture itself, could be taken over by the tool providers. So think Faro is such an example, right? It could actually be Hilti down the line if they make a good acquisition there, because they have pretty unfair distribution access. They have very good branding. It could be someone like Hexagon if they were doubling down in this space. So anyone that is actually an established tooling provider. If I'm right about the capture piece itself becoming a commodity, I would keep my eyes on them as well. Where it becomes, I think, more interesting and very hard technologically to solve problem is actually scan-to-BIM. So that part of the workflow, Mo, correct me if I'm wrong, I think every GC is pretty much looking for a good solution there, but nobody really has one except for the human in the loop and basically solving it through a service-based approach, and making the service more efficient can actually be the solution there. But nobody right now has yet found the holy grail where everybody is looking for it. So that part of the workflow, I think you will probably more see a startup win.
Mm-hmm. What is amazing to me is that we are in this journey we've been in this journey of reality capture for like 8 years now, globally.
8-9 years, yeah.
8-9 years, and there's few $100 million raised, and there's no profitable business there.
HoloBuilder was nearly profitable. I think it's still profitable. I don't know the numbers now there, but I think we did a very good job of investment, return of investment to VCs, and making money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was a good business going forward, and we could grow it. And the other thing you have not to forget is, still, I would say most construction sites have not a reality capture solution. So I would say still a lot of the market is untapped. Yeah, so I think there's so much innovation you can bring. I think there could be a new company. I mean, it's hard to get funding because people maybe see it as overcrowded. But believe me, I know there are some ways how you can disrupt now the whole thing, or just one of the categories. Let's say robotics could come in for capturing, for especially large capital-intensive projects. If something autonomous can do the capturing, that's a big thing. That makes better data quality out of it. If you have better data quality, everything else gets easier to build on. And as Patrick said, I think on the AI part, the third pile, there will be a lot of innovation, because now the whole data pipeline has changed, or what you can do with AI. What we could do, what we did like in 5 years, I can now do in 3 months to rebuild it. And that's something which, I think on your BuildDots interview last week, there was the part where you asked about it, and it was saying, oh yeah, the new ones with the new AIs, but all the pipeline we have and the cleaning of the data and so on, that's what makes us different. But that's something I think it's not true. That's something, if you have somebody with a little bit of experience, they can rebuild that pipeline and use new AI models to go there. So everything what people did is worthless, or they spent in the past 6 years on AI creating, in image recognition, floor plan recognition. Now an out-of-the-box model can do with some modifications. And that's something I tested. I built it myself. I tested it and say, oh yeah, that's easy. With 2 people, we can build stuff which you needed a full team, a lot of data before, for training and so on. So that part, people burned money which they never get back, and somebody else can come in fresh, take over with new ideas, new pipelines. Because also those teams, nobody will go and say, okay, let's throw that in the trash for what we did. Yeah, so there's people in that will not do that. Mm-hmm. So there can some changes be, and the market is again pretty huge out there.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, from your point of view, have you been looking at any reality capture solutions recently?
No, not since we exited with Mo in HoloBuilder. Not in earnest. We have been looking more. Again, if you structure the process, Mo I think has done it more elaborately. If you and the investor brain is very harebrained and very simple, as you guys know. So I can only see the world so simply. There's capture, and then there is like scan-to-BIM, roughly. And the capture part right now, I wouldn't be particularly interested in. I wouldn't understand why that is still a highly valuable problem to be solved. The scan-to-BIM part is a very valuable problem to be solved, and also very technically difficult to solve. So that part I would look at, and IPX in most angel portfolio, for example, is such a company that we find quite interesting in that space. Now, there are a few others as well, and so you will always have to look. The unit economics tend to be very good if you do it service-driven right now, but you do have to look then, hey, can I actually eventually graduate to a software-first kind of model? Even if I continue to deliver it as a service, how much does the software actually allow me to automate on the back end? Or will I actually move into a model where I deliver the software rather than the outcome? In the end, there needs to be the technology. I think that part of the market, though, is very interesting.
So this scan-to-BIM issue is mainly a software problem, or is it a hardware problem currently in terms of like technology advancement right now?
That's mostly a process problem, and it certainly also then goes further into the software problem. But the process problem is that you would actually have to scan basically all of the details of your site in a relatively high temporal resolution, so that you make sure that any kind of change that happens before, for example, you put a wall in place, what happens inside the wall, you actually have it captured down to the very last second before you put a wall in place. Once you have a temporal gap in your scanning from a process perspective, you might not have captured it, and then it doesn't go back into the BIM. So that's a process problem part of it. Mo, jump in here. And the technical part is that actually getting both precision and accuracy really right, especially indoors on your scans, where you need to do a very, very good precision and accuracy in terms of positioning the model over the BIM, I think is technically a really difficult problem. You had XYZ Reality here on the podcast. That's one of the technical problems that they are also attacking.
Yeah, I can just double down on this. No, I mean, I think it's an interesting space. I think, yeah, as Patrick said, I have like two investments. I mean, one is IPX, and I have Rico, which is like the triple I, which also like scan not to BIM, but they solve the same problem because for manufacturing, where you need to scan reality to quickly change your shop floor, or you're building a new shop floor, changing it. They just have some AI which recognize it, so it makes they jump over the BIM part. So they make the point cloud to a enriched BIM model without having the graphics, and that one can go to simulation softwares and tools, and that saves a lot of people a lot of time and money because they don't need it, and it's more precise. But it doesn't need to be beautiful and so on, as it needs mostly for construction to look at it and make other decisions on it. So that's one thing where you need algorithm to understand point clouds and do maybe some rendering on top of it. I think with the process problem can be solved with robotics one day, when you have more robots. One is maybe a dedicated robot, or each other robot, when they finish their jobs, they have all cameras, they scan, and you need a service which collects all that data, and then you feed it into another solution, which then goes and creates your scan-to-BIM from a process and data perspective. So that's something which will be solved in the future, I guess. But also having algorithms who really can recognize what's there and connect it to your BIM model. And the other part is you need maybe, create. I mean, that's one thing is you have a scan to compare it to BIM, and there's one thing is not to create out of a scan a model and make decision on it. Is it a mistake in the scan, or is it really a hole in a wall? Now, and how precise you want that scan to be. And there may be a lot of different niche products, I guess, at the beginning until they get consolidated to one larger product.
Very good, guys. Should we move on from reality capture? I feel like we've had a good take there. My next question will be, Patrick, do you want to save the fundamental Q2 for next episode, and we go straight to the investors take? Just
the numbers only get better with time.
Love it. Okay, let's skip over fundamental state of AECS tech in Q2 2024, and next week we'll cover that. And let's dive into have some fun with this investors take this week. So, Martin, how about you read this as you picked it?
Right. So,
can you read it?
Yeah, I can read it. Sure. So, pre-seed funding in 2024, midway 2024, most founders have realized that money is less abundant than it was in 2021, unless you build AI infrastructure. Being Sam Altman also helps. Result, more bootstrapping, organic growth, very good, or just good. Over the last decade, a lot of first check and idea stage VCs emerged, more options for less affluent founders and less capital intensive businesses. Great. What I hear from a lot of founders, though, investors come with outlandish demands. And quote, Series A traction merits at pre-seed valuations. I find this disrupting. Yes, power dynamics are in favor of investors. Yes, it's super hard to raise a new fund right now. Yes, you need to adjust portfolio risk. But there's no free lunch. You can't have your cake and eat it. If you commit to pre-seed at first checks, you can't expect the founder to de-risk your entire investment. Or am I missing something? So basically, that would imply that the investors right now are looking at A stage companies at pre-seed valuations. Is that correct?
I have to say, I have no idea what pre-seed deals this investor is looking at, but I don't think it represents actually what I am seeing in the market. The exact opposite is happening. We're not only in AI, take energy for an example. We are actually seeing the exact same plague that as a VC industry we already did in 2021 repeat itself at the very early stages, including pre-seed and seed. And this must be the bottom of the market where investors are asking for Series A kind of traction at pre-seed deals. The exact opposite is happening for actually most of the deals at pre-seed stage in Europe, in the US, even in India. You still have a very liquid pre-seed and seed market. And with liquidity come actually ridiculously large rounds. Anecdote from yesterday, again, 4 million round, 12 million pre, 2 founders, slide deck. That's it. From my market. This happens at least once a day in my market, and I don't know which deals this investor is looking at, but I don't think it's actually representative.
The question is maybe, what is his Series A metrics? That you should ask. People are used, let's say what we talk about. The companies we talked about as their Series A metrics was, hey, we are out here, we have an idea, we have no clue about the technology, raising 12, 15 million Series A. No revenue. That's maybe not happening. And then they say, hey, if you're now doing pre-seed, the people want to know you have an idea and you have tested it. Or there's a technology, maybe you can build it. That's like totally different than your pre-seed Series A understanding, or where I had to go through, where others had to go through. Now there's two different worlds.
Yeah, I think okay, you might be right. Perhaps the definition of this investor of a Series A metric is having a slide deck with more than 10 slides. So if he's bitching about this already, then
yes, I think that sounds very much like that. Is oh no, when we were Series A, pre-revenue with no product, but employees, that was getting hard. Yeah, and that was true. So a lot of people did it. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that is hard at Series A right now too, but it's not hard at pre-seed. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. Mo, I was kind of hoping you would bail me out here and understand what's going on, but in this investor's comment. But in my opinion,
yeah,
it's not reflective of the market.
Yeah,
So
I'm also doubling down on that.
So what's the like how someone should look into Series A and decide, okay, this is good valuation or bad valuation?
Let
You
me
can just
throw the
yeah,
ball to
go ahead, Mo.
Patrick. I think one thing very interesting you should maybe explain more is, you did it on another podcast I think recently, is about how some VCs do indexing
Mhm.
and what indexing means, and because the funds are so big and how they do it and get two different numbers, there may be how you do investments and how that differentiates each.
Yeah, that's a good impulse. Let me do that. So indexing in VC is a strategy where let's say you raise 3 billion for a multi-stage fund, including early stage investments, but more or less in the same fund platform every few years. These 3 billion, if you're promising your LPs a 3x DPI return, which is actually a relatively poor return, but let's say that's what you promise because it's a relatively large platform, you need to deliver 9 billion in cash returns. And if you own at exit, let's use 10%, just because the math is simpler. We can also use 15%. You need to own, the IPO value or the exit value of the companies that you're invested in is 90 billion every 3 years, right? So for you to do that, you probably really need to be investing under power law. And that means that in the end, you will have like hopefully one OpenAI or one Airbnb or one Coinbase within that portfolio. So that's one truth aspect. The second one is let's use AI as an example. The truth is that when we started truly investing as a venture industry into AI, was when OpenAI released the first public LLM. People started to realize that, hey, this could be a massive change. People were saying this could be the next, internet moment, blah, blah, blah. We've all been there and heard that. But the truth is also nobody could actually predict how this very multivariate industry and all the influences from the technology would truly develop. Nobody could actually make the prediction of what will be the technology that wins, how rapidly will it morph, etc. So here comes the indexing strategy. If you actually combine the two things, you have such a fund, you made these promises, and you're now operating in a tech sector like AI, you might want to actually just back every player whose founders perhaps you like, and you think they are highly competent, and you will give them the first round. That is something that some San Francisco-based funds, for example, have been doing for the last 18 to 24 months. And so there, the valuation method, to Mo's point, is not derived at all by the asset. That is entirely derived from what kind of money you want to put to work, say 4 million, in such an indexing strategy in perhaps 100 different companies, and you agree with the founders and more or less a market norm type of dilution, let's say 20%, and that gives you the valuation for the company. So that is something that you will find in these very hot spaces, right? At Series A, it can still happen. Again, if the founders are very good storytellers, very charismatic, they might have a few design partners that signed some kind of contract. You have a little bit of product in these very, very hot spaces. Even that can still happen at Series A. At the less hot spaces, the ones that are more demanding substance at a Series A, you would typically be in a traction-based kind of valuation.
Okay, and in construction tech, would that be a strategy, or wouldn't be a good strategy?
I have seen AI indexing strategies also applied to construction tech-based AI companies, but it's not dedicated to a construction AI indexing. It's a all vertical AI kind of indexing that also happens to then be applied to construction AI.
Okay, so the conclusion is that the market is good, and there's no such rumors that there's misvaluation of.
I can only say it. We're I mean, either we're already there or we're past the point where we're doing as dumb things as in 2021 as an industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I think just the expectation of some people is really to raise pre-seed with, I don't know, crazy evaluation numbers, which is not possible. I mean, I did it the same thing. When I first came to Silicon Valley, I saw people are throwing cash at stuff for nothing, which was not true. But yeah, if you just get into this indexing, that happens to you. Otherwise, no, it's not that crazy. And people just have this idea, so they can raise, I don't know, 4 million at 15 or 12 million without having any past experience, nothing, just a broad idea. And then they're pissed if you ask them why. How should that work? Yeah.
My question may be, how do you develop this kind of deluded thinking? Like,
What do you mean?
like, how do you think that you could go and raise such money with
Delusional.
like nothing? Yeah.
No, because you read TechCrunch. I mean, I had it because I saw TechCrunch. I saw how much. I mean, sometimes it's. I mean, we saw people getting acquired with less technology as we had or developed, or less good technology on a technology index. No, if Facebook would go and do an acqui-hire for, I don't know, 15 million, we said, okay, that seems to be the value of the company, and they had like, I don't know, 6 people and nothing else. But it's more complex because they have a network, they want to return the fund to the investors. We had maybe pre-invested, they are in a hurry, and then Facebook makes an investment, but it doesn't mean that really the company or the assets are 15 million. The valuation on it. And then you read it, so and you get into the thinking, oh yeah, or you see, Open Space or this other company raised so much money. And sometimes it happens. No, I have other friends who are raising crazy amounts of money without revenue or product because they have crazy tech in AI.
In construction tech or not necessarily?
No. Yeah, I cannot comment on that one. It's
Okay.
not public. So, but they're raising crazy amounts of cash in 100 million. Some people just throw money on some topics in crazy amounts, really crazy amounts, because they don't want to miss out of it. And that's like really indexing from huge firms where they say, okay, we put bets in with 20, 30 million in investment. If that works, great. No, because it's such a game changer if it works. If not, okay. It's but there's substance in technology and people on one part, no? But then it's the idea, okay, can you create product out of it or not? But if you don't have it both, so if you have no technology, no idea really, so it becomes hard.
And I think the answer how you become delusional is the same one everywhere. If you're part of a echo chamber and you keep listening to the same echo over and over again, sometimes it's your own echo, sometimes it's the echo of other voices. At some point, it's very, very difficult to tune it out. It's and then the more you expose yourself to the same echo chamber, perhaps to Mo's point, you're spending most of the time in a dense ecosystem of founders and they are highly successful in terms of fundraising. That is the echo in the chamber, right? And so at that point, it becomes quite difficult to tell yourself that, hey, no, I want to be building substance. I've actually noticed that the founders, for example, second-time founders, oftentimes choose to stay away from the echo chamber more often than they did the first time around. It takes a certain maturity. I think it takes a certain experience to be doing that. And if you do, then you do see things tendentially more clearly.
Very nice. Yeah. Okay, guys, I think we should wrap up. But for one last question for Mo here would be, as someone who has been there, you started from, you obviously founded the company, and now and it was acquired in the arena that we find our podcast in, construction tech. Do you have any kind of advice or mantras that you live by and that you would share with people building in the same space?
Mantras. I have no mantra, but I think the good list. I think that the key is really what I try to tell everybody is just build your go-to market as niche as possible, and go for it and just look for growth. And the other thing is, I think it's not a mantra. It's like much more look for adoption of your technology, which is a lot missed in construction tech. Is are people using it or not? What you build. I mean, a lot of people sell stuff also, but then it's not used. No, it's not deployed, or maybe it's deployed, but has not that thing. So everybody I try, I mean, that's maybe, I don't know what is a good thing. Let's say it should be like cake and everybody, or burritos here on a job site. So everybody love to use it or eat it. Yeah, if you do free burritos, or there's a burrito truck, which a company paid for, everybody would line up and eat for it. Yeah, that thing goes. And your product should be the same. So if people put it out there, it should get adoption. People should love to use it. And that's something which most construction tech products have not that momentum. I think in which great stories I heard about and witness is like Building Connected had that. Their product people really loved. It grew like crazy because it had this crazy adoption. Building Connected. I think Dustin is a great guy, or one of the best contact founders out there, and who created a product which people really, really loved to use and push for it and grow it. So that's something to look for, is adoption. And that's something really people are missing and don't understand how to track it, or undervalue that they can sell, or they have a growth in revenue, but really the job site, if it's a job site product or even a back office product, doesn't get that usage as people should.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky thing because when we speak about adoption and where the startups would like to pitch is, for example, large general contractors, and they have their own workflows, and you can't, it's difficult to sell something if you want to disrupt their workflow. You kind of have to adapt to their workflow. And then the question is this a good product? Is it a good product when you're trying to adapt to kind of workflow? It perhaps is kind of a little bit obsolete and not up to date as it should be. It's not the best and fastest way of doing things. So that's like with selling to business, when we sell business to business, but business to consumer, then the question is kind of different range of products that can sell in construction to the consumer, and probably there's much less of a product, it feels like, that could be sold directly to the consumer. I don't know if I said it makes any sense to you guys.
It makes sense, but you don't need, I mean, even if you sell, let's say, any technology, and they have their workflows, but it gets adopted, the workflow should be that really people like to go and do it. They really like to go and do the capturing. And then they're looking at the images. How you make them that they understand, and it gets a wide use, let's say, making use of the data they have. Then it's really valuable. How it's so valuable that they say, oh, it makes sense for me to make that change. I mean, it was a big change for us. Then there was nearly no workflow, or maybe not taking pictures with a camera or a phone or making notes, to go into 360 cameras and doing capturing. No, that disrupted the whole workflow, and people did it. But then you can go and even make it more attractive how to do that part. And with each data process, even scheduling and so on, every tool you bring in or replace, that should be so engaging that people love to get involved in it. Because most of it, it's maybe a better looking spreadsheet. It's not the great thing. So look how really you bring value. Again, it's also, I learned a lot afterwards, even doing some other projects, doing some construction myself, is how you get really people whose day-to-day job is not using your tool to love doing it. Because still construction is a very manual thing. We should not forget about that.
Yes.
So there are people who put metal in something, and maybe they have to do some decision making, no, but what is really changes their lives, no, or what is something maybe they are not doing today and they want to do, and you give them now a new tool, which is okay, that helps me a lot to create a new process which I didn't have, which is now so beneficial and different.
Nice. You give them the burrito truck.
That's a big one.
Talking of burrito trucks, that's probably a legit go-to-market strategy if you want to raise some awareness and get some new customers on your books.
Yeah, I had that idea a lot. So I said, okay, we should always put a burrito truck out there and then teach everybody something about HoloBuilder. So that's like one of my go-to-market strategies.
Yeah.
Hey, we're joking about this, but actually there's truth to this, Owen, because that's one of the things that gets me most riled up about bad generic investor advice. I mean, it's when you have generic SaaS investors tell SaaS founders in construction, oh, you should just crank up the marketing. I keep telling them, no, you should actually go to the fucking job site and order pizza. Okay, that's what works. And then the generic investor tells me, no, we'll crank up 500,000 marketing. And I, you see all these gray hairs. It's these moments when actually you should just be bonding with people on a job site. Like that makes so much more sense.
Very good. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mo, for joining us. Patrick and Martin, as always. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Bye.
you. Pleasure.